try and figure out which hand to put it in. Okay, good morning, Habibis. So you're going to hear that word quite a lot from me, unfortunately. So you're just going to have to get used to it. So yeah, my name is Ayman. I'll go to my slide. Thank you, firstly, for Wafeq for putting on this event. I think it's fantastic to do more accounting technology events. I think there's an absence of them in the region, so really, really excited to be part of this one. I've been invited to talk to you about kind of global digital accounting trends, from anything from AI to e-invoicing. I've been fortunate to have been in quite a few different regions over the years and have been involved in accounting technology in all its different shapes and sizes. So hopefully I'll be able to share some of the insights that I've managed to pick up and to give you an idea of the state of play of things as we see it today. Okay, before I get into that, a little bit about me. So I'm the self-proclaimed Chief Tech Habibi. So you'll see that on my LinkedIn profile. People will often, in a coffee shop, randomly shout Habibi at me, which is quite nice because it breaks the ice quite nicely. But what have I been involved in? So I moved to the UAE a couple of years ago, but prior to that, there's a long story of tech that's been involved in my family. So from a young age, at 2, I was kind of exposed to technology probably from one of the first times. My mum was a computer programmer, my dad was an electronic engineer, and I would sit on my mum's lap and kind of tap away on the keyboard, and apparently I was really good at actually choosing the letters from 2 years old, so I have to take my word for it. I can't provide any evidence for that. And then as I grew up, I was, legend has it that by 8 years old, I was fixing all the computers at home. I was computer programming already at that point. And then I pursued, naturally, a degree in computer science. Eventually, I ended up working at a software company in the prop tech space, and that led me to initially kind of get involved in actually coding work, and I found myself moving away from like the more technical side and just enjoyed building relationships a little bit more with people. So eventually, I moved into project management and then found myself over at Xero in the UK. And Xero is an accounting software platform similar to Wafeq, been around a little bit longer, based out in New Zealand. In the UK, they were like the go-to product. It was taking away from what was Sage's territory, which is similar to what Tally has been in this market for many, many years. And I was able to help them grow the UK business quite a bit. They were going through that kind of scale-up phase over there. And I found myself more recently, my last kind of year at Xero was helping them grow beyond just the local shores and into emerging markets globally, including the UAE and Saudi. So I got a really good idea of what this market was like. Now, over the last couple of years, so I left Xero about 2 years ago now, and I set up a business over here with my 2 business partners that you can see either side of me. They are in color in real life, by the way. They're not black and white. This is just purely for aesthetic reasons and to make myself stand out because I like the limelight, hence me standing under the light. So they've been based out of Malta for the last 12, 13 years, where they built Scope Scope Malta. And what Scope do, we help mainly accounting firms, like many of you here, but also accountants in industry, adopt the latest cloud-based technologies to help digitalize not only your finance workflows, but also your operations as well. So it could be anything from a POS to an inventory system, but almost always trying to integrate them together with your accounting to make you make the most out of a digital workflow and move away from the older ways of working, the more traditional ways of accounting that we still see around today. So yeah, we set up here in the Middle East, and I've been getting to know the market more intimately, and I've seen firsthand that the UAE, for all of its, I'd say, growth, and for all of its ambition, and for all of its leading in technology in lots of spaces, accounting is still relatively new here and hasn't followed quite the same trajectory. So it's been really refreshing to see Wafeq here really grab the bull by the horns and look to grow and own the space. So it's really good to hear that from Nadeem, that they are invested here. Okay, and one other thing that I noticed was there was a lack of, as I said, accounting technology events. And so last year we decided to create our own one called Accounting Refigured. And you can see Nadeem up on stage here. I didn't know if you knew that you were going to be on the screen there, Nadeem, but yeah, Nadeem up on stage. Wafeq sponsored our first event. They're also going to be sponsors of our next one, which is in 3 weeks' time. on the 8th of May here in Dubai. And they've actually taken the Diamond sponsorship package. So they are really committed to the market here and being at an event that is going to hopefully try and reshape the industry. So yeah, if you're interested, there's still tickets available, and I recommend you come along to that. Okay, so throughout the talk, I'm going to be using a figure called the Accounting Habibi. I don't want to just give this guy a name, but we're going to give him, he's going to be called Habibi from now on. So this is a guy that's been through the age of traditional accounting and has seen the light, let's say, and is moving over and has moved over to a more digital way of working. Now, back in the day, as you can see on the left-hand side there, he was surrounded by lots of paperwork, lots of filing cabinets. His hairline had seen better days, and quite frankly, he doesn't look particularly happy. He didn't get into accounting to be doing lots of manual data entry. He didn't get into accounting to just tell his clients a few months after their year end that this is what's happened, and that's it. That's your VAT filed for you every quarter. Like, that wasn't the reason. He wanted to make a difference to small businesses. And he found himself kind of stuck in a mundane routine that wasn't really fulfilling to what he wanted to do. Then he found digital accounting. And as you can see, it's made a real difference to his life. Look how happy he looks now. He was able to get rid of his filing cabinets because he's gone paperless. And now you can see the windows behind them. He managed to get more time because he was able to automate so much of his business. He was able to extract himself a little bit more from it. He had more time in his hands, more money, because he was able to attract better paying clients that weren't just squeezing his margins down because they didn't really value the service. And he was able to afford his trip over to Turkey to get his hair transplant, which is why his hair looks so much better on the left and the right-hand side there. So we're going to use our Accounting Habibi to kind of talk you through the journey that he's been through. And the 4 things that he saw were the biggest changes is what we're going to go through in the next few slides. So, AI. So I've been having some fun with AI this week, creating these little models. Has anyone else been using Sora this week and created their own little action figure? Is it just me? Oh, we've got a few people. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I thought I'd have a bit more fun with it. Now, most of you, I imagine, have heard of ChatGPT. I'm not going to do a hands up on who's heard of ChatGPT, but who uses it on like a daily basis? Just hands up, quick show of hands. It's almost everyone, some exceptions. Now, who uses it on the social media? Let's say on LinkedIn to help them create posts. Anyone using it? No judgment here. It's totally okay to do that. And is anyone using it to engage on other people's posts, like commenting on other people's posts? Any hands up? There you go. Yeah, right, security, can we get her out, please? You're the guys I don't like. No, I think, yeah. Look, I think, ChatGPT is great, and lots of AI is great, but it can also be abused. I actually genuinely feel that over the years, for all the abuse that ChatGPT has had from its misuse, I think it's going to need its own like AI therapist at one point to help it get over all the trauma. But look, AI is a great tool, and when used well, it can be incredibly helpful. So one thing that AI has actually been around for a long time in accounting technology, but people just didn't know that it was AI. For example, lots of you will do bank reconciliation in your accounting software. A lot of the time, that actually learns, so it uses a subset of AI called machine learning, which learns your behaviors and how you code your transactions, and it can then start suggesting them going forward. We've also got AI that's been powering OCR technology. So OCR technology is optical character recognition, and that's where it kind of reads receipts and invoices and extracts the data from that. That's been around for a little while, and we'll get more into it. So I'm not going to go too deep into AI just now, but we'll watch this space, because in a few slides we'll go into a little bit more detail about the different practical applications of AI. Then regulation. Again, I had a bit more fun with this one. Looks like an old school tax regulator from the US. But the regulator, so yeah, regulation has been a big driver as well in terms of changing the industry and driving technology adoption. We've seen, for example, in the UK, there was Making Tax Digital, which was a program that was involved in getting businesses to file their VAT returns digitally. So no longer do you have to log into the portal and manually upload your VAT returns as a file or manually type them in. Basically, the accounting software in the UK as of 2018 has to have been able to file digitally through an API directly behind the scenes. So that drove up adoption of accounting technology, so accounting software, for example, significantly. And we suspect things like that will come here. We also then saw corporate tax come out here just last year. And already we're seeing at Scope a huge increase in demand for people to move off their old spreadsheets, move off to just manual ways of working, sometimes on paper ledgers even, and starting to want to move more into the cloud and to benefit from the technologies they're actually building to help you come up with the corporate tax calculations and to remove the reliance on Excel to some extent. I'm sure Rayhan will touch on this in a few moments about his tax star bit. You know, other markets like Australia as well, they had single-touch payroll, which led to people needing software dedicated for payroll that can help file digitally. So it's been happening globally. We're now seeing e-invoicing, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more, but that's also going to be a significant driver, we feel, for accounting technology in the region. So, I really like this one, and the analyzer. So imagine showing up to your clients with like dashboards in your wings and looking like this guy. How impressed would they be? So Habibi found that our clients are really becoming less patient and increased their expectations around the kind of insights that you can give them and in a timely manner. Previously, maybe they were happy that you caught up with them once a quarter and provide them a little bit of insight. Maybe they were happy that after year end, after they'd given you their bag and box full of receipts and you typed them all up, we got your team to type them up, and then eventually you were able to, 3 months later, come up with some kind of insights about how the business was doing last year. Not as helpful for going forward, right? Eventually, maybe you can come up with some insights, but it's not in a timely manner. It's not going to help them throughout the year be able to make data-driven decisions. And we're finding that clients are expecting more and more from their accountants and actually trying to look to them for more advisory work. And we'll move to that shortly, but yeah, we've seen that there's been a real shift in that, and people are expecting more real-time insights to be able to make better data-driven decisions about their business. The fourth thing, and the final thing, was integrations. So at Scope, we're like an integrator, kind of like this guy. We don't look quite as cool, but Fahim is kind of like a little action hero. But yeah, like integration, so clients, they've already got systems in place. They might have a CRM system. They might have something that helps them run their operations. And in general, having multiple records is not that helpful, and people are having less of a tolerance for it. For example, like if you create your client in your CRM, do you want to be creating it in your accounting software as well? Do you want to be creating it in all the systems that use it? It's more desirable these days to have a single source of truth, and more businesses are now seeking these integrated solutions or all-in-one solutions that will maintain single records of truth and reducing the amount of manual data entry that's needed in order to run their operations effectively. So being efficient, being able to make better decisions is becoming more and more important, and having systems that talk together is a big part of that. So that's another key trend that we've been seeing. Okay, we're back to our accounting Habibi. So let's kind of deep dive a little bit more into some of the different areas that AI is helping already in accounting. So for years, most of your clients have probably been showing up at your office with a bag and box full of receipts, right? And you've got people typing them up. We've seen in other markets that this is becoming less and less common. For example, in the UK, I think you'll struggle to find an accounting firm that is purely doing manual data entry and isn't using some form of OCR software to extract the data from receipts and put them into their accounting software. The job of kind of data entry, particularly on the AP side, so data entry and review and then posting becomes a review job. And in the best case, what we're also finding is that you've seen transactions come through so many times from the same vendor, and the OCR is so good at it that you'll have the confidence to automatically post it to your general ledger without even having to review it. In the best cases, where firms have applied this to a large number of their clients, you can see reductions in manual data entry of up to 90%, which is amazing. And it really, really has been a game changer because most firms are struggling to find good quality staff. Having staff that are good doing menial tasks like manual data entry isn't that fulfilling, and it's very likely that lots of your staff that do that may eventually fall out of love with the job and move elsewhere, particularly the good ones. So you want to be able to give your staff more fulfilling work, and a big part of that is let's let the robots do the things that the robots are good at, and let's get our staff to do the things that where they truly add value. So we're seeing OCR technology is doing this really well. It's available. Wafeq has actually a really good solution in its AI inbox that we've been seeing, and our clients really enjoy it at scope. It basically means that you can just forward your receipts or bills or whatever to an inbox, to an email address, and it will extract the information and code it up for you. So nice and easy, and it does a great job. You're also finding some spend management platforms in the region doing something similar. So you might have heard of like a Pluto, a Pimo, and the likes. There's lots of others out there at the moment. These also integrate with Wafeq, so that you can actually spend on like a corporate card, put some spend controls around it, and it will also, then when you take a photo of the receipt, it will reconcile it against the spend that you've made. Again, extracting the information in there and storing a copy of the receipt. So a massive, massive game changer. And for our Habibi, it really helped get on that journey. And it's often one of the first steps. Beyond moving to cloud accounting, it's one of the first steps you should take, is looking at your AP. It's where you save a lot of time. Okay, insights. So we spoke a little bit earlier about how expectations are changing when it comes to being able to draw insights from your software, from your accounting. And there has been software, so most software these days, most good accounting platforms will actually have dashboards built in. Wafeq included has a really good dashboard section that will surface up some of the KPIs that you guys are most interested in as business owners. Obviously, for that to be up to date, it's important to have done your bookkeeping in a timely manner. So that's, again, like the value of using the OCR technology first so that you can get more up-to-date bookkeeping will help speed things up. And then you can draw insights. So what we're finding is there are tools, such as in this market, there's one called Kudwa, which connects to Wafeq as well, and that will help you. They're actually looking to build more and more AI into the system to help you spot anomalies. So let's say, for example, you've got a period of 5 years or whatever, and you're seeing your sales every year in March are 100,000 dirhams. One year, for some reason, it jumps up to 300,000. That's an anomaly, and maybe you would spot that, but maybe there's lots of little anomalies, more subtle, that you wouldn't spot without having to trawl through spreadsheets and spreadsheets of data that you've extracted. So the reporting tools are now looking to use AI to sift through the data for you, because let's face it, AI is far quicker than humans at sifting through tons of data and spotting these patterns and anomalies. It's harder for our human eye to do that. It would take lots and lots of effort, and it's very likely that you'll fall asleep while doing it and miss something. So the AI is able to start surfacing up these little anomalies and say, hey, by the way, this and this happened. Maybe it's because you ran an event that month, and it might look at something else in your P&L that would suggest a reason why you could have done that could have happened. But it will at least flag these things up for you so that you can add the narrative to it and then advise your clients more effectively. In this case, it's also helpful with cash flow. So looking at what happened in the past, maybe around your clients and how well they pay on time or not, that can help you predict cash flow better. So it can say, hey, so-and-so usually doesn't pay us on time. They're usually about 60 days late. So when it comes to your cash flow, you can't just rely on the invoice due date to predict your cash flow. Perhaps this client will be late, as they usually are. So that helps you predict what your cash flow is going to look like in a more proactive way. And therefore, you can make changes, particularly if you need to get some financing or chase up some debt from other clients to help make sure that doesn't become an issue for you in your business. And let's face it, cash flow is one of the biggest killers of small businesses anywhere globally. So being on top of that and using AI is a really, really helpful way to do so. Okay, and we talked about chasing debt. This is back in the day. Who here literally chases their clients down the road for their invoices? One over here, good man. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't suggest you chase women down the road in Dubai, or anywhere for that matter. It's slightly frowned upon, I believe. But these days, I would say, look, we're always going to have challenges when it comes to cash flow and clients paying on time. Hello. And these days, there is software that's actually helping with this stuff, even if it's just a little thing like sending a reminder letter at a given cadence. But then it's getting even better than that. So there's a platform here locally that also connects to Wafeq called Okta, and they've got some really cool features. So not only will they allow you to say, after X number of days, send an email. After X number of days, send a WhatsApp to this person. Escalate it to so-and-so, its manager. So you can actually set up different journeys and workflows for your different clients. Because let's face it, some clients, you probably don't want an automated email sent out to them to chase the debt. Maybe some clients are sensitive and you want to call them up. But depending on your industry, it might be totally okay for you to get emails and WhatsApp sent. Maybe there's a less personal relationship with some clients, and that's a totally okay way. Imagine having to pay someone to do that job, and lots of people do, just chasing debt all the time. Firstly, it's like a horrible job, I imagine. Never had to do it, but having to do that all the time can't be very fulfilling. But also, there's no way they can call as many people. And Okta actually built in an AI caller now. I don't know if it sounds like a real human or if it's still somewhat robotic, but even so, kind of getting that call for some clients might be okay, and it would help automate the process. And WhatsApp is huge here, though, and having that going into people's phones, I think will just prompt them to pay a little bit quicker. And we find that debtor days have been reducing when people use these automated methods of chasing debt. And it means that you can focus more of your energies on the clients that require that personal touch a little bit more. And they might be a little bit more delicate. But yeah, don't chase women down the street. That's the moral of the story. Okay, and then fraud detection is another interesting one. So, it's hard when you've got lots of transactions coming through your business to be able to detect whether an invoice is a fraudulent one or not. AI is getting good at being able to spot these things. So let's say you've got an invoice that's come through and it's got a bank account number on it, or perhaps the AI tools can scan through that, spot the bank account number, and check that, oh, actually, this is one of our employees' bank account numbers as well. Maybe this is someone doing something fraudulent here trying to get paid. So it's very difficult. There could be all other things. There might be discrepancies in the numbers compared from the line items through to the total. Having tools that will skim through this stuff and be able to spot them. Let's face it, when you're doing review work, it's very difficult to spot every little thing. You've got hundreds, if not thousands, of records to go through a lot of the time. It's very difficult. So fraud detection is another great application for AI. Now, on the flip side, AI can also be the bad guy in this situation. So some people are now using AI. So you would have seen lots of these images that I've produced. Even this one's an AI-generated image. Some of you probably would have spotted it. AI is getting really, really good at creating images. And these days, we're also seeing that there is now the birth of AI-generated receipts. And many employees are now creating receipts for amounts that are higher, or changing the receipt for amounts that are higher to claim higher numbers of expenses than they would actually have got. So one of the OCR tools in this space, in the accounting tech space, has actually learned to teach their AI to detect it. So like AI policing against AI in this case, right? So God knows where the world's going, but it's a crazy place. But AI can be used both in a good way and a bad way. But in this case, actually helping detect those things, which would be very difficult for a human to maybe pick up on. AI can spot where certain patterns in just the image compilation are, to help say, well, actually, there's a problem here, and flag it up. You need to review this more carefully. Okay, I'm going to briefly touch on e-invoicing because there is a full talk later on this, but I'm just checking the time. Okay, we're good. So e-invoicing has been around in a few different markets for quite a while now. Singapore have had it. Australia and New Zealand have got it to some extent for B2G transactions, so that's business to government. In the UK as well. Italy have had it for a little while. And in the region, obviously, we've had Saudi Arabia that have had e-invoicing. And it's not just a PDF or a digital version of your invoice. That's not what it is. It's actually a digital transaction going from one accounting software to another that needs to travel. Again, I'm not going to go through the mechanics. It will be covered later on in a future session this morning. But it's huge. And what we found here, our accounting Habibi was based in Riyadh at this point. And he was able to put his feet up and enjoy his cup of karak in peace while everyone was panicking outside, because he decided to embrace Wafeq early, and his e-invoicing for phase one, which was just having a QR code, which wasn't really real e-invoicing, but couldn't get away with it, that was on there. And now with the e-invoicing, where it goes kind of behind the scenes from accounting software to accounting software, Wafeq has a great solution. So he was able to relax. What I would say is e-invoicing is coming to this market soon. In fact, your first reporting period is going to be in July 2026 next year, is what we're hearing. So we don't yet have the full details of the rollout plan. I'm sure they'll go into a little bit more detail, but things are, basically, I won't recommend waiting till that time before you decide to do something. If you're going to have to move all your clients across overnight, it's going to be a big burden for you. Also, I've got an interesting story from a client that someone else in the room has also been working with recently, whereby they thought they'd chosen a platform that was making them e-invoicing compliant. They realized that it wasn't really compatible with the system that they had in-house. And retrospectively now, they're having to move over to use Wafeq's e-invoicing platform and deal with all of that historic mess while being over the deadline and facing a fine potentially. So the risk of fines is big, and it's not great. No one wants that, particularly if you're an SME. So dealing with this early and not having a big ramp up of people that you need to migrate across to the cloud later on is really, really desirable. Okay, so moving from reactive to proactive. So what should accounting firms be doing? So a global trend that we've been seeing is that while technology's been helping firms a lot move away from just keeping people compliant and just doing kind of the retrospective bookkeeping work, but also to be able to provide that advisory piece. That's kind of been an area where firms have been able to differentiate themselves a lot more. So, for example, lots of your clients will not know whether they're going to have a cash flow problem in a few years. That's information, or in a few months. That's information that can be really helpful. And we've seen that in a market like here, whereby you've got lots of firms, I think we've got over 3,000 accounting firms in the UAE alone now, competing for the same business, often competing on price, squeezing each other's margins down. How sticky is that relationship? How good a service can you offer with a really small margin? What you'll often find is the clients that are only after price are probably going to jump ship as soon as someone offers them a lower price, right? So it's very tricky, and is the juice really worth the squeeze? So how do you stand out in an industry where there is that kind of price competition? And that's differentiating through value. So being able to provide insights to your clients that will help them make better decisions, that will keep them in business for longer and help them grow more, is what is likely to not only get you good referral work, but also get them to stay with you for longer and increasing the lifetime value of that customer for you. So what I would suggest, this is like a really simple 3 steps, is where you can automate. As I said, don't do jobs that robots can do. Let the robots do their jobs. Automate as much as you can. That frees up time. It means you don't have to keep hiring and decreasing the talent pool, which is already difficult for people, and they're having to go further afield to get good talent. Then you can start advising. Once you've automated that, it gives you a bit of capacity to be able to advise how people could be doing and what they could be doing differently and what their business could be doing to help it grow. And then you can lead, so show them. So becoming somewhat of an expert in certain areas and say, look, this is what we're doing with other clients, and you can show them, hey, we're using Wafeq for this client. This is the difference it's made. That makes a big difference rather than just kind of being all talk. So we're going to finish up almost with Accounting Habibi's top tips, and he wanted his own doll. But he's very kindly left us with 5 top tips. Number 1, move your clients to the cloud. And this isn't something that you should do in a few years. You should be doing this now. If you're not already got most of your clients on the cloud, I think you're really, really missing a big opportunity. Even if your client doesn't want to go to the cloud, having them on the cloud for you guys internally will help with your workflows. It helps automate as much of the work as possible, and it also just gives you the opportunity at least to start teasing in a little bit of advisory work where you can, because maybe they would be prepared to pay for something if they see the value. So just being able to show them, maybe like you've kept their accounts up to date for so much that in your accounting software, and the bank feeds coming through on a daily basis, that you can now say to them a little bit more that, hey, you've got a problem with cash flow, right? Let's try and deal with it. Let's get you a loan or whatever it might be. Or this is a report that maybe they wouldn't have got that from their other clients, but because you've got more up-to-date bookkeeping, you're able to show them that. Then automate the basics is next. So as I said, if there's bank feeds, and Wafeq has like a WEO bank feed over here, and they're really leading the way on bank feeds in the region. So as and when they come on board, you'll get more and more banks feeding into Wafeq. This means that you can do more up-to-date reconciliation. Every single day, that bank account will feed into Wafeq, and then you'll be able to do reconciliation on a daily basis if you want to provide a more up-to-date service and get a more real-time view of the accounts. There's also things like OCR that we spoke about earlier. That's another area that I would consider a basic these days. Like, you should be really using that and removing the manual data entry. Educate yourselves. So events like this, it's good that you've all showed up. You're clearly wanting to learn. And there's lots of resources online. But also, we totally understand that it's very difficult for accounting firms to keep up to date with the thousands of apps that are out there, which is kind of why we exist at Scope. So we kind of do that education piece for you, and we're helping run that Accounting Refigured event as well to help educate the market a little bit more. So if you wanted to find out more, you can reach out to us, and we can always try and help you keep up to date with what's going on. Last one is prepare for e-invoicing. So yes, it's not coming tomorrow, but it will come around very soon. Try and get a head start. It'll really help you to kind of not get too much work down the line and have to make stressful decisions later on. It might just be a bit too much work for you, and you could end up losing clients to firms that are better prepared for it. Last but not least, just start small, but start today. So it's not about, Rome wasn't built overnight. Make sure that you're making moves in the right place and just get that 1% better every day. That's all I'd recommend. Okay, so that's it from me. Thank you very much for listening. Hopefully you found it insightful. And I don't know if I've got time for questions. Maybe a couple of minutes if anyone wants to ask me anything. Thank you. Oh yeah, and sign up for Accounting Refigured. Any questions? Go on. So so what does it mean to move your clients to the cloud? So if you're using software like Tally, which is desktop software, or you're using spreadsheets, moving to the cloud is moving to accounting software like Wafeq, which is all cloud-based. That enables you to get the benefits of updates all the time. So Wafeq are always releasing new features. If you're having to upgrade or just use a spreadsheet, you're not going to benefit from all the new AI innovation that's coming through and any other innovation. Any other questions? Yeah, so there's a platform called Kudwa, Kudwa. They're local here in the market as well, yeah, so they integrate with Wafeq. Any more? One more. Oh, Piero?
What holds a lot of people back? Like, why don't people make these? Why don't people actually invest in software to help them with these services and processes?
No, great question. And a lot of the time it's perhaps you haven't got the capacity to be able to take a step back and look at the business. This is quite common. I think lots of business owners today in accounting firms are still caught up in the weeds of the business, and they're not able to take these more strategic decisions about how can we differentiate ourselves. So I think a lot of it is inertia, but often there's an investment period whereby you have to invest some of your time and money to make the changes. Otherwise, you will just blend in. And Dubai is an incredibly busy market, so if you don't just take that step to make a change, then you will find yourself irrelevant. Sorry, I think I'm running out of time, but thank you very much, everyone. And I'm around if you need to chat about anything throughout the day. Thank you.